now bring in Enrique Abeyta. He is the editor at Empire Financial Research. And Enrique, what do you make of that RBI? I mean, history does not always repeat itself, but sometimes it does rhyme, I'm told. You know, we've seen sharp corrections followed by sharp rebounds. What do you expect to happen from here on out?
Well, thank you, Brian. We actually ran a very similar analysis, and it showed something similar. But I think what it ultimately comes down to is the Fed policy and the economic situation. Back in '99, the Fed had a very accommodative liquidity policy right up until early 2000, which contributed to that downturn. So the withdrawal of Fed liquidity, as well as economic growth, began to decelerate at that point. Right now, we don't see or have any idea that the Fed will be withdrawing liquidity in any major way in the next few quarters at least. And in fact, every global monetary body in the world is increasing liquidity at record levels. And we're also about to step into the greatest 4 quarters of global synchronized economic growth since World War II. Just by math, things were closed and now they're open. And whether they get back to where they were in February, March, eventually, but mathematically, growth is going to be huge across every single country in the world.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. I've been doing a lot of research, Enrique, into the Roaring '20s, and you know, you think of the Roaring '20s as, well, the war ended and so everybody went out and partied. Well, you know, now I realize that the Roaring '20s was probably caused more by people coming out of the pandemic of 1918 and 1919 than the war itself. Do you see the case for when this ends? And by the way, this is going to end naturally or with a vaccine. This is our 4th pandemic of the last 100 years, 57 and 68. People don't even remember, much less talk about, which I find bizarre, given that 68 was twice as deadly to people under 65 as this. Anywho, that we could see this sort of roaring 20s again, 2020 style, Enrique, as people just let loose for a couple of years.
Yeah, look, I don't think we're going to go back to the exact same spot all that quickly in terms of economic activity. But I would say it another way. I mean, the 1920s were also a period of incredible technology and economic growth. We're in one of those right now. Professor Scott Galloway had a great quote. I'm going to paraphrase it. He basically said that COVID didn't change anything, but it accelerated everything that was already going to happen in the economy. So there's some great technology companies out there, incredible things happening, global synchronized economic growth, easy Fed policy. You know, we're quite constructive.
Yeah, we're looking at their SPACs, video games, electric vehicle makers. By the way, you could combine them all because half the SPACs, Enrique, have been from electric vehicle makers and video game companies. It feels like, does it feel a little frothy to you though? I mean, you and I should start a SPAC and make it a video game about electric vehicles, I feel like.
Yeah, you know, the interesting thing about SPACs, and we followed them for over 20 years, is people think of it as an asset class. But it's really just another method of doing an IPO. In fact, there was a month earlier this year, I'm not going to recall the exact month, where 90% or 80% plus of the IPO volume in the United States was actually SPACs. The reality is, back in '99, for instance, we had a bunch of regional growth investment banks like Montgomery and Alex Brown. They're all gone. All we're left with are these big banks, and so SPACs are just a new way to go IPO, take a company public, and you know, to partner with great sponsors and get into growth companies.
All right, well said. Great stuff. Enrique Abeyta. Enrique, we appreciate coming on Worldwide Exchange. Have a great day, buddy. Thank you. We'll see you soon. Take care. All right, that does it for us.